All right, 150,000. This is in the 1200 block of South 5th Street. Decent location, Temple, Texas. This is another one that has a lot of different exits. I think Midterm rental would be the best option. Some of the things in this home have been fixed up. Look, you have the original hardwood floor. Paneling on the wall is not great. And then these windows look they look newer, like within the past 5 years. So you got a window here as well. And then, so smaller living area, but it opens up to this little dining area here. And then a cute little kitchen. I really like this kitchen. Butcher block countertops. You have shaker cabinets. You know, the color, I don't know. I don't like it, but I don't not like it. Backsplash, you got the subway tile backsplash. You know, this would be a good little midterm rental. It's listed at 150. I don't think I would probably do I think it's close. You know, we'll go to the bathroom first. It's close to 150. I mean, I would say if you got this place for 140, 145, that'd be a good deal because you're gonna rent it out for like 1800. You got the subway tile. This was obviously fixed up. You got the new tub, single vanity, very nice finishes. It's a clean, looks like they did a good job. You know, it's a clean little property. This room is a little bit smaller. Amount of natural light. You got 2 here and then 1 right there. So why this property? I would say this property would be a great option if you're kind of on the fence about the midterm rental, because this would also be a good long-term rental. You're at least gonna make a little bit of cash flow on a long-term rental. It's a good price. The finishes aren't like super crazy, which also makes me think they may not sell it at 150 because there's completely remodeled homes for 160. So this is a decent remodel. This is a good sized room here. So this would be like the master bedroom. You know, you have 2 windows here, you got a window there. Really nice baseboards. The work that was done well. I think the only thing that I'm not like a huge fan of is this paneling and then the light fixtures. But also, whenever you buy a house like this, the hard part for investors, especially for midterm rentals, is they didn't used to put like a good spot for a water heater, a washer and dryer, because they usually just use a carport. But check this out. If you see right here, that is where the water heater and the washer and dryer are. It's a nice little shed. It's a possibility that you could do something else with it, but this shed is primarily for the water heater and then the washer and dryer. Let's go check it out. It's kind of neat. It could be like a spot where like you put your husband in timeout, have like a little mat out here, have him sleep out here for the night. So is it the best buy in Temple? I don't think so. Just because it's right at that point where you could either get like a fully remodeled home, but it's not like bad enough to where you can get a good discount on it. If they listed this at 140, 145, this would be a great buy. I would still, if I had a client who liked this house, which I do, I'm gonna tell them, look, 140, 145, it's a great buy because you can't go wrong on any of that. You can't go wrong with a midterm rental. You can't go wrong with a long-term rental. You can't go wrong, you know, fixing it up a little bit more, maybe selling it for 160. There's a lot of different options. I wouldn't flip it. To be clear, that would be my last strategy. Listen, if y'all are thinking about investing in Texas in general, please reach out to me. I'm helping investors every single day grow their portfolios. You can call me, text me, email me, or schedule an appointment with me down below. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let's get it.